Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9. Oh, just dropped my pen. Your Father's Story, where I answer questions from this book, talking to my boys about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right in, shall we? Did you have a favorite family vacation, road trip, or outing that you remember fondly from childhood? No. We didn't go on vacations or road trips or anything like that. It was a sticking point with my mother almost until her dying day that my dad never took me to the zoo. To be fair, I don't think I would have wanted to go to the zoo, but that's just me. So we never did any of that as a family. So that kind of gives you an insight as to what kind of family life I had as a child. But my friend Chris's mother, Debbie, did take us to like the beach and to the Great Escape and things like that. So that was pretty much the closest I ever came to things like that, which is kind of sad, really, when you think about it. But it just is what it is, you know. It just wasn't something that happened with my mom and dad. Obviously, like I said, my mom tried to push for certain things, but my dad was my dad. He was who he was, or he is who he is, whatever. So, yeah, that's just not one of those things that was a part of my family growing up. So, I guess you can look at that any way you want. So, I guess I'll answer the question on the other page. Did you have a nickname when you were younger? If so, what was it, and how did you get it? I had several nicknames. We all had several nicknames when we were kids. A lot of times we just called each other by our last name. So I was Blanchard for a long time, which is not terribly creative, but it is what it is. Bobo was a thing growing up, and now it has a PTSD thing with me now. Not because of my childhood, but because of recent issues that I will not go into. Bobbert was a thing too, and Rachel loves calling me that. That's even my name in her phone is Bobbert. So our various bosses have gotten a kick out of that. So I know I had other ones as well, and a few of which are racially sensitive, so I will not repeat them, but I will say they didn't offend me when I was younger. Whatever. I don't know. I guess you just have to do better than that with me, I guess. So I don't know, I'm trying to think, but I don't think there were too many other nicknames that I could really think of right now. But most nicknames I had revolved around what my name already was, so you know. So I guess that's the answer to that question. Do you feel you had to make sacrifices to become a good dad? And if so, what was the biggest sacrifice you made? I think most parents sacrifice something in order to become good parents. I mean, the biggest thing I sacrificed was my time. But it's the way it is. You accept it, and you're a mature person who wants to be a good parent, you accept it. So which is not to say it wasn't difficult for me to do. It was very difficult when I was younger. I had Christian's mom had Christian when I was like 24, so I was really still a kid at heart. And also, I've talked about the belief that I had like developmental issues growing up. So I was like probably even younger than that, maybe even like 18, like mentally and emotionally. So I was still the kid that wanted to play video games all the time and do all that stuff. But it's a hard transition. It's a hard transition when you're not ready for it. And it took time. It took time. But I mean, I still was there, you know, I still did the things that I needed to do. I probably just didn't do them as frequently as I probably should have. But I know that by the time Aiden came around, like, I was ready for that. You know what I mean? Like, I already been through it with Christian, so I was more prepared. And plus Kate was not in the best of shape coming out of that pregnancy, so at that point I really had to kind of step up and be the dad I needed to be at that time. So, you know, I think it's obvious that being a father to Christian set me up to be a father to Aiden. So there was always that. I can't think. Well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say that I didn't, you know, can't think of too many other things I sacrificed, but I did sacrifice food. I made sure that the boys had good meals before I did, and there was a period of time there where it was touch and go there for a little bit, but I'm not sure that they really noticed. I hope not, anyway. That's kind of the goal, that they don't notice, you know. So I would eat rice and pasta to make sure. It was generally leftovers, you know, so they had good leftovers, but I would eat rice and pasta if I didn't feel like there was enough, you know what I mean? So I guess that's something else I sacrificed too. And, you know, money is an easy answer, but that goes along with any parenting and any, you know, it costs money. It costs a lot of money. So, yeah. So I guess those are the two main things, but, you know, I would do it all over again without even blinking twice about it. When you think of me, what's the first thing that comes to mind? I have some pretty simple answers to this one. When I think of Christian, I think about his laugh. He and I have laughed so much over our time, and just, you know, had so many funny moments, you know, a lot of things that we shared. So, you know, that's always a cool thing. And when I think about Aiden, I think about his looks, because he just makes some of the funniest faces, and sometimes he'll make them when he's irritated. I just came from Aiden's early college graduation, as a matter of fact, and we were sitting on our seats, and, you know, the graduates were lined up along the wall over here, and I happened to look over and I spot him over there. He was already looking at me. He's like, so I went, you know, that's just kind of what we did to each other. And, you know, me and Aiden have laughed a lot too, so, you know, there's always, I mean, laughter is a thing with me. Like, I like to make people laugh. I love to laugh, and, you know, for me, that's extremely important. So, yeah, I think when I think of both of them, that's what I think about, is their laughter, and that Aiden makes some silly faces that amuse me a great deal. So, yeah, that's it. And I think, you know, if I had to give a second answer to those, when I think about Christian, I think about how mature he was at such a young age. You know, this kid just, he took it upon himself to put himself to bed at 7 o'clock at like 14 years old, which I would have never had the discipline to do. And that's incredible when you really think about it, you know. So, I mean, that's definitely something I think of when I think about Christian. And when I think about Aiden, I think about how far he's come. You know, there was a time there when it was rough. it was rough. It was rough for Kate mostly, but sometimes she'd call me upset. I don't want to go too much into detail, but she would just call me upset and think that she failed as a mother, and I would tell her that she didn't, and just to give it time, because Aiden will learn. He'll grow into it, and he'll mature over time, and he has. So I'm very proud of him for that, and I look forward to seeing where they both go in the future. But when I think of both of them, those are definitely the things that I definitely think about the most. What is the one thing you want people, family, friends, etc., to remember most about you? That's tough. That's really tough. I think above all else, I would want them to remember how much I gave and how much I cared, I think caring is a lost art in today's society, and for me it's genuine. I care about people, and I care about what's going on in their lives, and I care about their success. And I've been attending a lot of graduation stuff lately, and I don't know 98% of the kids that go up on stage, but when they go up there and they get their diploma or their award or whatever, sometimes I can feel it inside. I want them to succeed. I'm happy for them, and I'm rooting for them, even though I don't know them. We've never met, things like that. So I think that's a part of me that I would want people to remember. For me, it's always been about everybody else, and not so much about me, and that's taxing sometimes, but for me, it's just the way I've always lived my life, and I do think there has to be a balance. I hope that you guys find a balance. I want you guys to give too. I want you guys to be there for other people, but also I want you guys to recognize when it's time for you time. You know what I mean? That's something I've always struggled with. Like right now I should be in bed, should be going to bed and getting ready for work tomorrow, but I have this show that I do, and I have this commitment, and for me it's important, and I got to do what I got to do. So yeah, I would definitely say that it's very important to find that balance, but it's also important to be nice to people and be there for people, because my philosophy has always been, you never know when you're going to need help from that person. You never know when you're going to need that person. And you guys have seen that, if I get into the jams or something, I've got people around me that are ready to help, and I'm very lucky in that regard. But it requires sacrifice. That's another thing that requires sacrifice, So I think that's a really important lesson in life, is to, be there for people as much as you can, but also to remember that, your life is yours too, and that you have to protect it. So, I think I think those are sage words to live by, I would say. And that will bring this episode of Your Father's Story to a close. Leave a like, subscribe, notifications, and all that stuff. You can go to robertblanchardbooks.com and check out the award-winning Roar of a Dragon series. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. If you'd like to hear more about them, the Rise of Dragons podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. My Linktree, my Instagram, my Twitter, all Bobby's World 2110. Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time was the Elden Ring No Crimson Flask Run Volume 2, Learning of the Lakes, but we concluded that this past Monday with Renala, Win or Bust. So we are now moving on to Bloodborne. It will be a Bloodborne No Blood Vial challenge playthrough, so that should be very interesting. That'll be coming up this coming Monday. So that's what's on the docket for that. Back in the archives, I have the Elden Ring No Crimson Flask Run Volume 2, Learning of Lakes. I have the Dark Souls Remastered No Assist Run. I have the Elden Ring No Crimson Flask Run Volume 1, Limgrave. I have Sekiro No Healing Gourd Run, Dark Souls 3 No Level Up Run, and Dark Souls 3 No Assist Run. So all that is back in the archives to check out. Bobby's World Hunger Games. It's me and my friends in a Hunger Games simulator. It's a popular series on the channel. But, yeah, it's always fun times. We always look forward to those. They always look forward to those videos when I put them out. So, you want to check those out. Those are there. Soulsborne Battles to the Death, where I picked 2 random Soulsborne bosses. I pit them against each other, and then I did bios, and then I predicted who I thought would win, then you leave your opinions in the comments. So there's over 100 episodes of that to check out. So that is there for your viewing pleasure. Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is what you're watching right now, Your Father's Story. So don't really have to explain too much about what that is. And Saturdays, 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Bobby's Gaming Lounge, which is my weekly live stream. I play games, you guys come in the chat, and we just have a chill, fun old time. So, this past Saturday, I think last week I said something about it being Resident Evil Village, probably the finale, but it wasn't. We ended up skipping Village for a week, and I did Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I ended up finishing that game. So that's the finale of Spider-Man Miles Morales. So that was a fun time. Even though I was very, very tired, I had just gotten done working 61 hours. I just found out 61 hours that week, including 2 overnight shifts. So I was extremely tired, but I felt I had to get on the stream and just have some fun, and you know, you guys were there for it. So thank you all so much for that, and also thank you so much for the love and support. As always, the channel continues to grow. We just hit 5580 subscribers. So that's pretty crazy, and I really appreciate it. And I'm still pushing forward. You guys are still here for the content, so that is awesome. It means a whole hell of a lot to me. So yeah, thank you all so much for that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Your Father's Story, and sorry. If you want to check out more, here's a video up here about where my life took an unexpected turn. And there's a video down here about who was my first kiss. So if you're interested in any of that, go ahead and check that out. And hope everyone has an amazing week. Be well, stay safe, and as always, it's Bobby's World, and you're all just living in it.